Open your mind and journey through the cosmos of the universe. This is Bridging Realms with Dr. Gene Carlisle and FalseFreedom691.
Welcome to another episode of Bridging Realms. I'm FalseFreedom691.
And I'm Dr. Gene Carlisle.
So today we're going to be talking to you about the Bell Witch.
Yeah, we're getting into a paranormal realm today, and what people say was an actual witch.
Yeah, in the town of Adams, Tennessee, by the Red River from 1817 to 1821, the Bell family was under attack from this witch, and they were not isolated in these attacks. People throughout Adams, Tennessee were actually affected by it, and even a pretty big-time celebrity for the time. And we'll get into him a little later in the show, but yeah, it's a lot of history, a lot of lore to this one.
Yeah, I didn't, I'll be honest with you, I did not do my research on this one, and I thought we were talking about kind of a modern witch, and, you know, I'm just now hearing this is from, like, the fucking 1800s, so, like, I mean, I don't know who could be a celebrity from that time, but, I mean, we're talking, like, some old, like, fucking almost Salem-style witch action going on here, right? These are just off of early settlers, almost, right?
Right, for sure. Yeah, I mean, personally, no telling how long Tennessee had even been populated at that point.
What'd you say is 18 what?
1817 to 1821.
Jesus Christ. Man, so, yeah, these people were definitely believing in witches, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I know right now, you know, there's a lot of people that don't believe in witches or witchcraft so much, right?
Right. There are a lot of people that don't. It's really mainstream witchcraft has kind of lost its luster, you know. It's kind of disappeared out of the mainstream aside from just popular culture, hokey witch type stuff.
Right, like there's you know, Sabrina on Netflix, and I saw some people that are really involved in witchcraft getting upset that it wasn't portraying them accurately.
Yeah, and there's definitely subsets of the population that practice chaos magic, that practice general witchcraft in general, and magic's another topic we'll get into down the road because guys,
definitely.
Magic is real. I mean,
sure.
there are magical practitioners all over the place that are just having so much success in life because that's what they aspire to, and they use these magic spells to boost themselves up.
Right. That's one thing I wanted to talk about on today's episode, since we were talking about witches. I've read recently that there is a coven of witches that are praying together, you know, focusing their mental energy, casting spells, whatever you want to call it, to get Donald Trump out of office. Like, they're using their witch powers to get him out of office. Have you heard of this?
I have not heard of that, but you know, I mean, we're in the middle of this impeachment thing right now, so
yeah.
you got to think it's working.
I think it is. Like, when I saw the impeachment stuff, I was like, holy fuck, they might have done it. You know, this coven has been they've been praying since, I think, like, the fucking election. When I first saw the headline, I thought it was like the goddamn Babylon Bee or something, you know, like they just think that all liberal leftist women are witches. But be it that some of them are, they did form a coven, some of them, and they did pray against him. And I think this impeachment stuff, you know, might be a result of that. And I hope that maybe, you know, their mental energy or their spells or whatever could produce maybe the P-tape or some tax returns or something, because that would be pretty badass. I know that won't make our listeners happy that are of the QAnon crowd.
Yeah.
I know False, you're a QAnon man yourself, so I know you would probably watch the P tape out of like personal porn preferences, but would it upset you that it had Donald Trump?
Well, I don't know if it's just breaking news to you, Dr. Gene, right now, but the supposed P tape has surfaced.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's available online.
I did not know this. You can find it online.
You can now find the P tape online as of last week.
Shit. Like, did you watch it?
I've watched it over 32 times because I have to analyze it and make sure that it's an accurate documentation of the events that occurred.
Right, that's research, folks. And I didn't know about this, but had I known, I would have proved that. I hope you wrote down those hours for the Bridging Realms project as work hours, because we have to do this research in verifying this footage with the stuff that To the Stars released, the Nimitz videos, the Gimbal video.
Yeah.
We watched that so many fucking times. With some of these deep fake videos, just to prove the deep fake technology. We have watched so much deep fake porn. So fucking much. I mean, with every celebrity you can think of, every politician you can think of, we have watched this deep fake porn for hours, and that's the research that we're going to put in for you guys. So I'll be watching this P-tape after we're done with the episode today, so gear up, False. We'll go for another 32 fucking times.
Yeah, you aren't going to have many free hands, so write down the hours before. So the Bell Witch haunting is deeply rooted in Tennessee lore. In 1817 is where it began in the town of Adams along the Red River in Tennessee. So according to the legend, from 1817 to 1821, the family and the local area were under attack by a mostly invisible entity. Now, I say mostly invisible because sometimes it made its appearance known. And it appeared to be a half rabbit, half dog.
What the fuck? Like...
Yeah.
Okay, I thought that this was going to be like your more traditional witch, per se, like a lady that does magical spells or is possessed by some sort of demon or something.
She's got an amulet around her neck that keeps her young and hot.
Right, yeah, fuck yeah. What the fuck's going on with a half rabbit, half dog situation?
So the half rabbit, half dog situation, as you posed, is just that. I mean, John actively hunted this creature and just could not find any way to catch him. So looking at it, it's half rabbit, half dog, so it's got some big ass rabbit ears on the dog body, kind of hops around, and just clearly something interdimensional, something from another world.
Yeah, this sounds like it's getting into cryptid territory.
Yeah,
right? Like this is more,
that part of it for sure.
More cryptozoology than paranormal, unless this thing was summoned by a witch, right?
Right.
Or like created by one. It could have been some sort of fucking like hellspawn.
Right. Well, and this is Tennessee.
Oh yeah, right.
You've always got the potential for different crossbreedings, of animals that are somehow related to each other, and this
a lot of
witch,
fucked up shit goes on farms like that, on rural farms.
Yeah, lots of families that just keep the bloodline going. So this could have even been one of those witches who kept the bloodline going within the family. So instead of turning into a rabbit or a dog, she turned into this fucked up hybrid because she only had received semen from relatives.
Yeah, that is something that does happen in those rural areas like that. I'd also like to ask, because False, you're more of the expert on these sort of things. I've heard of these, certain satanic rituals or whatever, contact with demons, to where a human lady would give birth to something like this, like a half rabbit, half dog, fucking chimera demon creature.
Yeah.
Basically, the woman the demon seed was implanted in her. Like, this happens in fucking horror movies and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you'll see
pretty common.
You'll see it in these, paranormal stories and stuff. Could that have been this sort of situation?
I think so, and I think if you could make your way to the Vatican archives, you might even learn something to that extent. They just opened up a lot of those archives this past week, and obviously they're going to save the good shit, but there's probably some good exorcism data in there, some different records of just general fuckery the Catholic Church is up to.
Yeah, and great job, internet. There, I feel like the Vatican felt the pressure. They're very in touch. They got out ahead of it because they saw the memes. They saw the memes saying, fuck Storm Area 51, storm the fucking Vatican.
Yeah.
That's where the real shit is. The Vatican has been fucking shit up for centuries. And, I think they heard this call and they're like, listen, we can't be stormed. This building's old as fuck.
Yeah.
All these old dudes are old as fuck. They just couldn't handle it, so they're just releasing shit. It's going to be fucking redacted as shit.
Everyone in here is a weak-ass pedophile. We cannot handle the onslaught.
They can't. So, here at Bridging Realms, we are going to be going through those Vatican files. My man False Freedom is on the Vatican's ass.
Yeah. I had access to another subset of Vatican files, but they're the kind you go to jail for possessing.
Right, like we've told you before, we do that research. We take leaks, and give to the Patreon. It's soon to be back up. We're still fighting with the fuckheads at Patreon, and it's probably these big dog disclosure people out there, like To the Stars, keeping us down, wanting to get that investment money for their public offer, whatever the fuck company. When Bridging Realms, we just want donations, man. We are just a not-for-profit project, not recognized as not-for-profit by the government yet, but we are a project that just wants donations. We're not even trying to do like investors or fucking shit like that. We just want to keep the lights on in Studio 51. So leak that shit to us. False has his sources. He got these leaks. We're going to be going through these Vatican documents right after we're done with that Trump P tape.
So we talked a little bit about John Bell. They moved to this land in 1810, but the hauntings didn't start until 1817. Now,
damn, so they had a good, clean 7 years.
Yeah, so it's
out on the fucking Tennessee frontier.
Experts kind of debate, were they cursed? Or was the land itself cursed? And maybe they did something to cause the curse to activate. Maybe a modification to the land on a grave, something to that extent,
That can activate curses, from what I understand.
Oh, yeah.
Can always activate a curse.
Big curse activator right there.
Right.
Defiling a grave. Big curse activator. But getting further into the family, there were typical haunting things. There were rattling chains.
Classic.
You'd go into the forest, you'd hear a voice coming from 3 different directions, and scratches on the windows, things like that.
Right, yeah.
But young Betsy Bell, Elizabeth Betsy Bell, had it the worst. So she was especially tormented by the Bell Witch.
Okay, is this John's wife or daughter?
Daughter.
Okay,
yeah,
daughter. All right.
It's his daughter, his oldest daughter. She had her hair pulled, ripped from its roots.
Not cool.
She was pinched, slapped, just constantly under physical harm.
Did the witch have a crush on her?
Potentially.
It sounds like some just like childish tormenting there.
Well, and it almost like the witch would have to be old, right? Witches are old, typically.
Typically, yeah, they're old as fuck, though they may seem young with the help of talismans or spells, you know.
So maybe
from what I understand,
maybe kind of an Epstein situation where doesn't really know how to approach women and kind of goes for these young girls, you know, pulls the hair and stuff, maybe never fully developed mentally.
That seems to be what we see in stories, you know, in our lore, is that witches do tend to go for younger children, either because they are susceptible or out of jealousy. You know, the old ass witches, especially in Disney ones, are, you know, pretty jealous of the young, sexy fair maidens.
Sometimes purity due to virginity, which always concerns me. That's a personal concern of mine.
I bet.
Is that I could be made a virgin sacrifice.
Yeah, I know, you know, you've had experience with cults before, and that was always a big fear.
Yeah.
I know you got out of one because you were going to be a virgin sacrifice, and we got to do an episode about that for sure.
Yeah, and you know, kind of the cult life, I just kind of got tired of being the only guy who didn't get to fuck, you know?
That's understandable, because most cults tend to have a lot of fucking going on. Some, it's damn near the point of them. Maybe young Elizabeth Bell was just so young and pure, and that's why she was being tormented by this entity.
Yeah, it really could be. I think you got a good point there on the pureness scale. So the Bell Witch herself apparently went by the name of Kate. And
okay, I'm sorry. The Bell Witch herself, like, are you talking about the half dog, half rabbit's name was Kate?
Well, I believe the half dog, half rabbit is just a specific form used to terrorize John Bell.
Okay.
Yeah, so Kate exists as well. Kate was the abusive one. Kate didn't approve of Elizabeth's engagement to Joshua Gardner.
Okay, so there's some jealousy afoot.
Yeah, there's jealousy afoot there, and she did eventually in 1821 break off the engagement, and you know that's around the time that the abuse ended.
Okay, so you're thinking Kate, and was Kate a relative, or she's just this like townsperson, nearby lady? What the fuck? How is she involved?
I don't think Kate's ever seen. I think Kate's just they're made aware of Kate through vocalizations from the...
okay. The witch fucking announced herself. Okay.
Yeah, the witch announced herself.
Oh, that's polite. That I get it. The witch wants some credibility, you know? So, fuck, man. They could have been, this witch was jealous of Elizabeth and did not like this engagement. She wanted her dude.
Yeah, and bad things befell Elizabeth through the rest of her life. She took a lot of blame. A lot of people tried to say that Elizabeth was the one who was responsible for the whole event anyway. And you kind of see the Bell Witch running through popular culture quite a bit. So the Blair Witch has a lot of similarities.
Okay.
Kind of abandoned woods with voices coming from different directions.
Right, never really see her.
Deeply rooted in the folklore of the town, you know,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And then the witch itself, if you've seen the witch... with the young girl in the New England town.
Yeah.
A lot of that's based kind of around the Bell Witch in the scenario of the daughter constantly being blamed for the acts befalling the family.
Right. Just, you know, classic scenario, you know, calling them a liar, saying they're doing it for attention, you know, making these things up. Same thing happens to many of us today when we have a paranormal experience, or an experience with a cryptid, or a UFO or extraterrestrial experience. You know, people get shamed and called crazy and, you know, called liars. that kind of shit happens. So I feel for these people, especially, this thing terrorizing her dad as some beast, and then, terrorizing her for so many years and ruining her relationship as this woman named Kate.
Yeah. So now let's get into the celebrity I mentioned earlier.
Oh, fuck, yeah, I've been excited about this.
Yeah, that had a run-in with the Bell Witch. It is none other than Andrew Jackson, who was a general at the time.
Holy shit, President Andrew Jackson?
Yes, President Andrew Jackson.
Holy fuck, so he was just a general at the time. This was before he was the president.
Yes. So he heard the legend of the Bell Witch, and he was residing in the South. He took his men on wagons to the Bell farm to kind of see it for himself. The wagon they had with them froze in the road, not stuck in mud. It couldn't be moved. It was like it was stuck in time.
Shit. And this, this isn't like a car where your engine just goes out. This is just a normal, it's a fucking wheel, guys. It's a goddamn wooden wagon. This is the 1800s. How does it freeze like that? How do all four wheels just stop? That's fucked.
Yeah. So Jackson surmises that they had encountered the Bell Witch, and he tells his men that. The wagon starts moving on its own without any assistance, and a disembodied voice said, "All right, General, let the wagon move on. I will see you tonight." The wagon continued moving a short distance by itself, and they all headed out.
What the fuck, dude? So, complete ghost story happening with this general who later becomes a president. That's insane, man. And I wouldn't think that Andrew Jackson would admit to anything like this. From what I understand, this guy was a huge fuckhead. He did some horrible things. Just go to his Wikipedia page. Did some horrible fucking things as president and was known as an overall chode. He was just a huge asshole. So I don't see him just openly admitting to being scared by a ghost. So this must have been really freaky as shit.
Yeah. For a guy who really just degraded and took all the Indians' land away, for him, a massive dick like that to admit fear, that's out of character.
Yeah. Yeah, he sent the Native Americans to the most undesirable parts of the Midwest. So he's he put some stains on history, on the history of our country, and really hurt some people. So maybe he's the kind of guy that's gonna get haunted, right? He's gonna get haunted by some spirits. So that makes sense.
I found a little more information on Kate. So this Kate was a former neighbor of John's who had passed away, and she felt cheated by his land purchase from her.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, so they thought that maybe Kate, after her death, basically haunted them as a ghost, that she had put a curse on them and haunted them.
So John fucked up. John Bell fucked up with his land shit. He pissed Kate off, and she comes back as a ghost, haunts him, and ruins his daughter's fucking life.
Yeah.
So great job, John. You fucked shit up for poor, sweet, young Elizabeth,
Well, and not only did Elizabeth's engagement end in 1821, John also died in 1821. So that's another factor for the activity going down.
Damn, dude, what did John do to Kate? He really fucked her over with this land deal, man. Because, she saw to his untimely demise and the end of his poor, sweet, young, innocent daughter and her engagement. What the fuck?
Yeah, pretty intense deal. A lot of people even think that the Bell Witch was actively responsible for John's death. So John had Bell's palsy and was kind of kept to the house at this time. they found next to his dead body a mysterious vial with some liquid in it. And they gave some of the liquid to the cat, and the cat immediately died.
What the fuck, dude? So did he possibly commit suicide with this vial?
Yeah, a lot of people theorize that the witch forced him to do it, though. The witch gave him the vial and forced him to kill himself, kind of Epsteined him.
Holy shit. Also, let's talk true crime here. Let's talk the investigation into the death of John Bell.
Yeah.
How fucked up is it that the cops gave what was in the vial to the family cat to test it, and they killed the family cat?
Yeah.
So, I mean, what the fuck? Elizabeth is having to deal with this. She not only lost her father, but then the police, in investigating her father's death, kill their family cat. That's fucked, dude.
It's really fucked up.
They should have. I mean,
that's shoddy police work at best.
Really, she should have brought a lawsuit against the police station. The police station there.
Yeah, for sure. She had a solid case against the Adams Police Department.
You can't just test that on the family cat.
And you could try a fucking pig back then. Like you could put a freaking pig on trial and hang them. Like, that happened back in those days. So, yeah, for sure they could have got the cops.
They just murdered the family cat. I'd go ahead and blame that on the Bell Witch, too.
There are accounts that the Bell Witch was so happy, she actually sang at John Bell's funeral. They heard a disembodied voice singing at the funeral.
Holy shit, dude. Okay. That's freaky enough, but when you first said it, I thought maybe, like, she was scheduled and they had a break in the service for a song and allowed her to sing and present this fucking song. But that's freaky enough, man, to hear a disembodied voice at the funeral. Man, she really hated John Bell, dude.
Yeah, she really fucking hated John Bell.
That's savage, dude. Yeah. Savage as fuck.
She practically shit on his grave.
I'm sure she took a huge ghost dump.
Oh, yeah.
Just a huge ghost dump, and then just an upper decker on top of the gravestone, Thanks for joining us for another episode of Bridging Realms. I feel like we took a really deep dive into the story of the Bell Witch, and had some really big revelations there.
Yeah, it's always great whenever you can reveal things to yourself in the midst of bridging a realm.
Right, and I'm really glad to get into a more paranormal realm like that, since I'm a more alien guy, That's more of False Freedom's thing, and I appreciate him and his friendship in this episode.
Thanks so much, Gene. I really appreciate all you've done for me as well. You've gotten my hours cut back at GameStop by 10 a week, and it's just so important to me to work on this podcast and the foundation and the work we're doing here to bring this information to the truth community.
Right, we're all about exposing truth, and we hope that you, the listener, enjoy that truth that we are exposing here on Bridging Realms. So make sure to subscribe, rate the podcast 5 stars, leave us a comment on social media, follow us on all the social media as well, and tell your friends about the podcast.
Guys, stay tuned after the podcast for a very special word from our sponsor.
Bridging Realms is a part of the Bridging Realms Network in association with the Bridging Realms Project, with additional support provided by Realmies like you.
Very pleased to announce once again that this episode of Bridging Realms is sponsored by NASA. Guys, sometimes sponsors shy away from the truth community, especially once they hear the harsh truths that we put out into the world. But NASA sticking with us, steadfast.
Yeah, NASA, we're very happy to have them. Of course, NASA stands for the North Arkansas Space Administrators.
Yeah, the North Arkansas Space Administrators. Guys, if you need to get your TR levels checked, these are the guys to go to.
Right. They are focused on shining the light of the true eternal dragon god onto this cosmic plane for his second and final coming.
Open your fifth eye today by purchasing this normally free pamphlet for a small donation of $17.95.
Just $17.95, a small donation to learn all about the coming of the eternal dragon god that is NASA, the North Arkansas Space Administrators.